Okay, so chipping. We're going to start and sort of build out from here. Why is this overcomplicated by people? What are the most common faults that you see with people, and what do they really just need to simplify and focus on?
That's a really good point. I think most folk do overcomplicate the chipping, and you know, we use too much loft. We try to help the golf ball in the air when actually, you know, assuming that we have a reasonable lie, you know, we can keep the ball very close to the ground with a relatively straight face club and get the ball running. We see tour players on TV using lofted clubs and playing a little checky shot, which looks great, but the skill levels of these players playing that shot is, you know, they're spending hours a day practicing it. So, you know, it's their job to do so.
Yeah.
So, you know, we need a very simplified approach to the short game. So if you can putt it, putt it. You know, I get asked by students all the time, you know, I don't mind putting this, is that okay? Well, yeah, it's the right shot if that's the one you're most comfortable with.
The objective is to get it to the hole.
Yeah, so, you know, the most predictable route to hole is along the ground. And, you know, and I think that's our biggest challenge, ultimately, is get it on the ground. It's already on the ground. Assume that the lie and the approach to the green is reasonable. Keep it on the ground.
So what skills do you think people need to sort of develop the most when it comes to chipping? Aside from a simple technique, what skills and awareness do they need to have?
Again, it's understanding if the ball has to be elevated, how far do I need to send the golf ball in the air before it runs? And ultimately, you know, if we're talking fringe shots around here, where maybe we can hit the ball 10 or 12 feet in the air, get onto a nice flat part of the green or the fringe, and, you know, have a predictable result from the back of that, whether or not we're using a 9-iron or a hybrid, even if the ball's got to go a long way across the green or up a slope, or, you know, we don't have to, we might look at a shot that's, you know, the hole might be 30, 40, 50 feet away from us, but actually the shot we're trying to hit is 10 feet, you know, just in front of us. And, you know, when we start to see that, you know, and it's interesting when I spend time working with clients, you know, their first thing is, oh, it's a 50-foot shot, but actually it's not. It's a 10-foot shot that's going to roll 40 feet. And, you know, or a 20-foot shot that's going to roll 10 feet. You know, so that's what we're looking for, is to try and simplify our ability to be able to hit the golf ball 10, 12, 15 feet, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, that minimizes the scariness of what you're trying to do, doesn't it? It sort of gives you a stepping stone to say, okay, this is my simple objective.
It is, and the biggest challenge over that then is a lack of momentum. Okay. Because the putting stroke and the short game shots require very little speed. Okay. So it's easy.
Is that, you know, people are going to be scared of duffs and even shanks or thinning it too much? Like that's
yeah, I think the duff shot is the, you know, is the big deal. The shank, you know, and thinning the ball is coming from, you know, a skill level that's not being taught efficiently. So, you know, but certainly mishitting the shot, thinking that we've got to, you know, we've got too much swing or too much speed. Ultimately, it's speed and loft that determine the result. Yeah. So, you know,
why would you say most people duff a chip shot?
They're scared to commit to the shot, or they may feel that they've got too long a swing in the backswing and don't realise that they're still in control of the speed going forward. So, you know, I'm seeing too many golfers with actually not enough backswing, and then their rapid acceleration, because the brain's already triggering how much distance is required on the shot, or if they're using the wrong club, that the distance they may be trying to hit the shot is wrong for the loft on the club face. So, you know, it's loft and speed are the two critical factors to, you know, to how well we perfect.
And you're going to show us, you know, we're going to go over a bit of technique and then a couple of drills to dial that in. And when we're talking about a chip shot, you know, whether it's from we could maybe cover one in the rough, but also just around the fringe, you know, the basic essentials, and you get good at the basic shot, the rest sort of follows, doesn't it?
Yeah, ultimately for me, you know, it doesn't matter whether I'm working with an elite player who, you know, gets it around in the 60s or somebody who's struggling to break 100. Number one is that we're going to learn the skill first, and then with a little practice, because that's all that's taking. When you learn one skill, that doesn't take long to hone in, and then vary the clubs. That's a little bit of practice to find out how the club reacts, and then feel comes in. Feel is something that we learn intuitively, but we have to learn it. So it's something that comes with experiences by practice. So, learning one simple skill and then varying the club to basically, a little bit like putting.
But that's
simplify
following
it.
the simple strategy of just, getting it on the green as quickly as possible. That's your main sort of tenet, would you say?
It is, and then once we've acquired some skill levels at that point, then, and that might mean it's a single-figure handicap golfer before we get to that level. But ultimately we can then learn to hit different shots with the different clubs. So,
So it's
around
almost
the
three
greens.
phases. So it's like, let's keep the strategy simple, then let's keep the skill and the technique simple.
Yep.
And then you sort of piece those together to get some consistency and reliability, and then you build on with that with different drills, different challenges, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a go-to one club type of guy, but for me, I was as a kid growing up, and as a young assistant, I had a wedge in my hand and I was good with it. I could play every shot with a pitching wedge, which typically had about 50 degrees aloft at the time. So, if I really needed to land it soft, I'd use a sand wedge, but we only had 2 wedges back then. Now, there's 4 in the bag. So, although they're just different numbered clubs, aren't they, really? But essentially, I've got variable lofted clubs which allow me to cushion or
But it's the
force
same
the shot.
technique.
It's exactly the same.
Okay. All right. So there you have it. We're keeping the strategy simple. Let's make it less stressful on yourself. The main objective is just to make solid contact, but get it on the green. And Andy's going to show you some simple techniques to be able to execute that strategy, and then a couple of drills to sort of hone in on that.
And the important thing really is that it's not about perfect, it's about being effective.
Yeah.
And we may strike the ball perfect and it checks up and doesn't quite reach the hole. We may catch the ball a little bit clean, and it runs out, hits the flag and drops in. That golf's great because we don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
If we put ourselves under too much pressure,
It becomes a nightmare.
It does.
Okay, so let's keep it fun too. All right, let's get to it.